Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Voyager Class BONECRUSHER. This figure came out in 2018 as part of Wave 5 of the Voyager assortment and represents BONECRUSHER's appearance in the 2007 film Transformers. Just like his on-screen counterpart, BONECRUSHER transforms into a modified Buffalo mine-protected vehicle. I'm not used to seeing this kind of vehicle, let alone talking about it, but I can say that it's very tall and very long. It's a lot narrower than I'd expect a vehicle called the Buffalo would be, but it definitely looks massive enough. One little detail I found out about the vehicle mode is that the rear view mirrors are placed at the top of the windows so that the ground is more visible since, this vehicle is used to defuse IEDs. The entire thing is cast in a dull sandy tan, perfect for a piece of desert military hardware, though there's not much else to provide visual interest besides the black tires and blue windows. He doesn't even have the BONECRUSHER Bulldog tampograph that the original 2007 Deluxe had. At least this particular shade of tan plastic allows for close looks at all the sculpted detail scattered across the vehicle mode's body, at least on the upper section. As soon as you go below the windows and the spare tires, you can see all kinds of ugly seams, cracks, and joints. Okay, those are a dime a dozen on a Transformers figure, but there's nothing here that actually looks like it's meant to be any vehicle component, or armor plating, or anything. At least besides the front axle detailing, which is pretty easy to miss just because of where it is. Around the back are some hands. If you're not careful, he'll try to reach out for your toes. Now, I've been dancing around the elephant in the room. The Bulldozer mine-protected vehicle features a prehensile arm that is about half as long as the one on this figure, at the end of which is a minesweeper, which is about 10 times smaller than the one on this figure, hence why I called it modified earlier. The real Buffalo Minesweeper is a puny thing, and the reason BONECRUSHER's is as big as it is that the fork was photoshopped to appear larger and more impressive on Force Protection's website, and the alternate mode was already chosen for BONECRUSHER before this was found out, so the vehicle was modified to match the original image. Backstory out of the way, this arm is really impressive. With 5 joints at its disposal in this mode, you can easily make some cool car-flipping dioramas with this thing. It's astounding how similar this transformation is to the original 2007 BONECRUSHER figures. The rear underside swings around on joints connected to the spare tires and pegs into the upper body after they join. The entire top section splits in half to form the arms, and the front section folds down onto his back and the forks split and rotate into place. Beat for beat, this scheme references the original, and I'd be hard-pressed to find any substantial changes. Well, the front tires don't swing outward on this version like they did on the original. This one has some flip-out side skirts. Yeah, I think that's it. Studio Series BONECRUSHER is a far more screen-accurate representation of the BONECRUSHER film model, with stockier proportions and less kibble than the original mold. That being said, he's just barely taller than the original, though he is far wider, though not quite as wide as Mixmaster is. Just taking one look at BONECRUSHER's robot mode tells you 3 things. He's big, he's not a pushover, and he will fuck up your day. I love the short, stumpy, stocky legs, just pure pillars of muscle and metal. The arms are also long and gangly, though they don't do the triple-jointed extension thing that the original Deluxe did. Shame, that was actually something the film model was supposed to do on screen, so it would have been cool to see this figure pull it off. The best approximation of that is folding out the kibble to the side. At least the forearms have 5mm ports on the insides. The torso is really interesting, with a few silver accents here and there, and the head sculpt is simply perfect. He looks like a cross between an owl and a bulldog, with all kinds of pissed-offedness coming across in the sculpted lines. Don't like the design? Well, you can take it off. If this figure's name is BONECRUSHER, then this segment is crushing my soul. Starting off at the head, he has a ball joint, as you have clearly seen, but it does not move left or right in any appreciable range. That is due to this little pin here that allows BONECRUSHER's head to look left and right. And even then, it's very subtle. It's just barely off-center, and it's really annoying. The ball joint is more for side-to-side motion in the circular angle of arc. You know what I mean. The arms have a swivel joint that go 360 degrees, though the paneling on the back sides of his arms kinda clashes sometimes. It works if you make him do a little T-pose and then swivel it, and then there's a little hinge right here that allows it to go outwards, and there's another hinge due to transformation that allows it to go even further outwards, so he can straight up Y pose. This is more of like a pose for a fucking crane kick. He can't exactly hold this pose unless maybe he can. Let me try. Okay, maybe not. BONECRUSHER also has a bicep swivel that rotates all the way around and allows for some forward movement, but thanks to his hand design, he has curling iron arms, which means he can never really get his hand up like this, if you know what I mean. He does have joints in his hands. He does have these claws that open in and out, and also this kibble flap opens out, and it allows the arm to be more free. As I have already used, he does have butterfly joints due to transformation, and you can get him into monkey pose. Drag his knuckles on the ground like a monkey. BONECRUSHER has nothing at the waist due to transformation because of just how much stuff intersects in there, but he does make up for it with these rotational joints at the hips. They're universal joints. They go forward and backward very nicely, and they go outwards all the way. So that makes a pretty good split. He also has thigh swivels, I almost said bicep swivels again, that are kind of tight, but they manage the full 360 degree range of motion, and he has knees that bend just about 90 degrees, which is pretty adequate. Finally, for his main articulation, he actually has ankle pivots. They don't utilize the front toe, but they utilize the back 3 toes, which allows for wider stances up to a certain point. Finally, let's go to the back. These forks can swivel around on a mushroom joint. There is a hinge joint and another hinge joint to bring them closer together. This is mostly for transformation. I tend to prefer them swung back to the side, but they can pinch. He has a hinge joint here, a swivel joint here, connected to a hinge joint here that allows the claw to reach up over his head, and he has another hinge joint here and a hinge joint here. So for his general build and design, BONECRUSHER has very good articulation, though he does have some major hindrances, such as the lack of waist rotation, the curling iron arms, and the lack of head posability. But that shouldn't be a problem. Studio Series BONECRUSHER is really nothing special at all. As far as interesting things go, he has a really unique alternate mode with a nice color, and the forks have a ton of playability, but otherwise he's kind of boring. His design is nice, but if this sort of robot mode rubs you the right way, then I don't see anything wrong with picking this up. I must say he does a better job than most Studio Series figures in managing his kibble. Still, he doesn't really spark too much enjoyment in me. I can't give him too poor a rating, he doesn't deserve it, so I'll just call him above average. If you liked this video or otherwise found it helpful or informative, then please subscribe for more reviews like this in the future, and stay tuned for my next review where I'll be taking a look at Transformers Siege Deluxe Class Barricade. This has been Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.